And I'm just going to say you might want to have everyone on mute, because as people are joining, they're not muted, so it'll like turn the attention to them during the meeting.
Yep, good point. Thanks.
I'm just going to introduce the co-chairs, and then I think Bill is taking the lead today, correct, Bill?
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
so good morning, and we should probably do self-introductions because we have some new faces today. I'll call out the names according to the screen that I'm looking at, and then just a quick introduction. So I'm Marlena Selter from the Development Council. Bill Brooks.
Good morning, Bill Brooks.
Rich Hortzman.
Good morning, everyone.
Steve Manera.
Yes, good morning, Steve Manera here.
Andy Saporito, our guest speaker. Randy is on. Tom Bianco, you on?
Yep, I'm on. Tom Bianco, Gloucester County Director of Economic Development.
Good. Laura?
Yes, good morning, everyone. Laura Wallach, Program Director for Thrive South Jersey with New Jersey Community Capital.
Thanks. Jen? Grenier?
Good morning, everyone. Jen Grenier with WSP and a committee co-chair.
Bernie?
Yeah, hi, Bernie Tetrell, Taylor Wiseman Taylor.
Thank you, Patty.
Hi, Patty Gibson, Stokes Creative Group.
Bob Scansella. Bob, are you there?
I'm mute.
Yes, I'm here.
Oh, good. Okay. Joe Mafucci. Quick introduction, Joe.
I'm here.
Great. Dale Foster.
Yes, good morning. Dale Foster from GPI.
Good, thank you. Kurt from Dewberry.
Yeah, good morning. Kurt Ladwa from Dewberry Engineers. Good morning, everyone.
Good morning. Ernest Hanna.
Good morning, Ernie Hanna with GZA. Nice to see you all.
Good morning. George Loban.
George Loebman from the evil side of general contractors, UTCA.
Thank you. Michael Bruno.
Hi, Mike Bruno from IH Engineers.
Good morning. A. La Rosa.
Good morning, Anthony LaRosa from Colliers Engineering and Design.
Tricia.
Good morning, Tricia Ruffini with the Southern New Jersey Development Council.
Peter.
It's Pete O'Brien with the Sheep Metal Workers, Local 19. Good morning, everyone.
Good morning. John Hanson.
John Hanson with the Port Authority Transit Corporation and Delaware River Port Authority.
Thank you. Dennis. Oh, I lost Dennis. How about James?
Hey, good morning, James Antriacci, Market President, Truist.
Yes, new name or new sign.
Yes, it used to be BB&T, formerly BB&T. Now we are Truist.
Yeah.
Thank you. Good morning.
Chris.
Chris Giandola, WSP. Hello, everybody.
Good morning. Then we have Randy is on.
And Randy with the Development Council.
And Ben is on.
Yep, good morning, Ben Gallinelli, Development Council.
I think that's it.
Hey, Marlene, Sam Donaldson on AECOM.
Oh, Sam, good morning.
Good morning.
Twice in one day, how in 2 days? Wow.
I know, I felt like it might be too much and you're leaving me out on purpose, but that's fine.
Good.
I'm Marlene, it's Carrie Straley from Promatech.
Oh, hi, Carrie. I didn't see you on. And then Susan, I didn't see that name yet.
Susan Baisha from Parker McKay.
Anybody else that
Yeah, hi Marlene, it's Carolyn Zampino from Triad.
Oh, Carolyn, hi. I don't know why I'm not seeing everyone.
As
Marlene.
also Luke Gordon.
John Ober from GZA. Hello, everybody.
And
Luke Gordon.
Jim
and
Gallagher
Brennan
from
Ward.
Resolution.
Oh, sorry.
And Brendan Ford from PNC Bank.
Great.
Say Jim Gallagher from Resolution Management. How's everybody doing?
Good. Anybody else? All right. Okay, so Bill Brooks, I'm turning this over to you.
All right. Thank you, Marlene. So good morning, everyone. On behalf of my fellow committee co-chairs, the executive team here, and all of the members of the Southern New Jersey Development Council, it's my honor and privilege to introduce Andy Saporito. Andy was appointed as Executive Director and CEO of the South Jersey Port Corporation in 2019 after a successful 38-year career at the Port Authority of New York and New Jersey. In his time at the South Jersey Port, Andy and his new executive team have been exploring the potential to expand port businesses while remaining focused on retaining and growing existing businesses. They've already signed a new tenant in Camden and announced significant investments to upgrade their equipment and facilities to operate cleaner and greener. They recently announced that EEW will build its monopile manufacturing plant at the Paulsboro Marine Terminal, and they're working to improve the Port of Salem. I know the Biden administration has committed a significant amount of funding to port improvements around the country. There's been a lot of backlog of cargo in our ports in different areas. And I think the South Jersey Port Corporation really contributes to the economy of South Jersey and the region. So look forward to hearing from Andy about some of the port's proposed capital investment plans. Andy?
Okay, well, thank you, Bill. And it's good to be back here speaking at the Southern New Jersey Development Council. Actually, this is my first public event after I was hired. I guess we got together with the committee back in late 2019 at our boardroom, which has been vacant, I think, since about February of 2020. So I'm very used to virtual meetings, but still enjoy when everybody gets together. And I hope the next time we do this, we can actually do this live, and I'll give you a little insight as to where we may do that as we go through the presentation. But this has been, if we get the first slide up, please. Does somebody have the slide deck?
Yeah, I can run it. Give me 30 seconds.
Okay.
Technical difficulties.
It doesn't matter whether you're live or you're virtual. There's always a little technical glitch that pops up.
Right around the time the pandemic ends, we'll be experts at Zoom.
99% of us. There's still that 1% I don't think will ever get Zoom. And in about 2 minutes, because I'm at the port right now, there'll be a horn that'll go off. So if you get startled, I apologize. Well, the end of break time. So,
Thanks for the warning.
It happens at a real port.
Does that mean a ship is coming in, or?
Actually, they're on break right now. So let everybody know it's time to go back for coffee break.
There we go.
Okay, there we go. So, it's been a very exciting time for New Jersey because over the past decade, we're developing the infrastructure to become the epicenter of the offshore wind industry, which will reduce our carbon footprint and deliver a very significant influx of jobs and economic impact to the region. New Jersey, especially South Jersey, is leading in the American offshore wind energy economy, and with it comes numerous good paying permanent jobs with limitless business opportunities. Today, I'd like to briefly explain our key role to develop the wind industry, and I'll tell you about some of the other new developments at the port, highlight some of our successes, and explain our plans to continue to grow the future of the port. Because, you know, we also handle a lot of cargo, which we'll get into. South Jersey Port Corporation, the Port District, was created in 1968 to operate our region's maritime assets under one umbrella to maximize economic input. Here's the horn.
Right on
Okay.
time.
All right, and we currently operate 4 marine terminals in 3 cities in southern New Jersey. 2 terminals in Camden, 1 in Paulsboro, and 1 in Salem City. And we've interconnected to our ports is the New Jersey Wind Port, which is the red star on the map just below the port of Salem. The Wind Port will be the marshaling site for the offshore wind farms. You know, I'd like to commend the Southern New Jersey Development Council for all the work you're doing with the Wind Port to ensure local contractors and workers have opportunities to participate in this major project for South Jersey. You know, there's a lot of opportunity at the Wind Port, at Paulsboro, and we're hoping that Salem will also enjoy that benefit. You know, ports are economic generators. The South Jersey Port Corporation is part of the maritime industry along the Delaware River, which generates $77 billion of economic activity and supports 190,000 jobs in New Jersey, Pennsylvania, and Delaware. And that figure is a couple years old, and right now the Maritime Exchange of the Delaware River is actually updating that information. So I think we're going to see a very big change in the economic activity as well as jobs when that new study comes out. At South Jersey ports, and I kind of stress South Jersey ports because we're trying to re-image and remarket the port corporation. So, and when you see a lot of our marketing material these days, you'll see us refer to everything as South Jersey ports. We specialize in what's called bulk, break bulk, and project cargo, and handle over 4 million tons of cargo annually. If you go to the next slide, please. The majority of the products we move are not inside containers, such as wood products, cement, cocoa beans, and steel. Imported steel includes steel coils and structural steel. Unlike the container ports, which are moving consumer goods, our products are typically semi-finished products needed by manufacturers. In addition, we handle heavy lift and specialized project components that ship worldwide. You know, one of the things that you're hearing about is the supply chain and logistics, and you know, just the number of ships that are unable to call the container ports. On the break bulk side, because container shipping has become so expensive and people aren't been able to get containers, we're seeing more and more products going back to break bulk. And actually, you know, when you hear about ports, there's also a capacity issue at all the break bulk ports around the country right now. So that's something we're trying to get our arms around. As you can see by the chart, last year was a record-breaking year for us when it comes to total cargo tonnage. We moved more than 4.6 million tons, which is a 54% increase over 2020. And that broke the record of that was set in 2018 by 6%. We're also expecting 2022 to be a very strong year, and we're hoping to top 2021. You know, the ships keep on coming, the cargo keeps on coming. Really what we're trying to do is move out as much cargo by truck and by rail as we possibly can to take it to the next ship. You know, really, it comes down to the skilled labor of the partners that we have at the port who are keeping all the products moving. Even during the pandemic, you know, our crew was here working every day, moving cargo through. And, you know, we're constantly seeking solutions to improve efficiency, attract business, and build for the future. And, you know, it's a collaboration with our labor force and industry partners that's lifted the port to break the record that we broke last year during some really challenging times. You know, if you look at the slide, you can just see how well we've done in tonnage overall. We go to slide 4, please. You know, I mentioned the commodities, but you know, cargo volumes are up almost across the board. You know, we move materials that manufacturers need for production and materials that contractors need for building and infrastructure projects. And as you can see by these numbers, everything is very strong. You know, our steel numbers, you know, we'll have to see how we do this year, but last year they were really fantastic. And you know, recovery of the steel slab imports, which is really a strong signal of manufacturing, continues to be strong. With all the pent up demand for housing and also just for products that go into housing and RVs, plywood products that came through the port last year were also up. And there's still a lot of ships looking to come in with more plywood. So we expect that to continue. You know, unfortunately, on the infrastructure projects that really haven't started yet, they impact our gypsum and sand exports. But I think as the infrastructure bill finally starts moving, we should see that sector pick up. So, you know, the port is strong, and we really think 2022 is going to be another strong year, which will bring me to our next slide, if you could please. Which is the need for a master plan for our port facilities. You know, one of the things as I've been here for the last 2.5 years that I've seen is, you know, we really need to plan for the future. While the port's been successful, you know, we need to have a plan that kind of lays out what our business strategy is going to be moving forward and what investment we need to make to stay current in the world's market. And that's kind of going to require us to increase the overall amount of berth space we have, inside and outside storage space, as well as, you know, how do we build out the rest of Camden, Paulsboro, as well as Salem to support everything that we're doing. You know, we're also looking at growing our cargo business with what we have right now and attracting new commodities. You know, since I've come on board, we brought on a major pipe importer who has actually opened a terminal in Salem on in Camden, on property that the port owns. And we've tried different commodities. Last summer, we had juice coming in from Turkey in containers that was basically frozen on the ship. So when you walked into one of our warehouses, it was probably about 50 degrees in there in July because all the product was frozen, and then they moved it out. And, you know, you can't forget about offshore wind. You know, probably every week we talk to somebody who's looking to bid on a project and looking for space. So, you know, that's really going to be a big part of what we do. And, you know, as we modernize our port, right now we're talking about, you know, what's our mission statement going to be moving forward, and how do we update that? We've developed a capital plan, which I'll talk about a little bit, which kind of brings us to that next step. And, you know, ultimately, as I bring new people on and, you know, we kind of transition out of working remotely, we realized we need new office space. So we're actually going to be moving into a headquarters, which I'll talk about a little more. And our equipment, you know, as you handle more cargo and different types of cargo, you need to upgrade your equipment. And we've been doing that. and doing that in two ways, looking at electric equipment as well as Tier 4 engines in our larger pieces of equipment. And, we've had to hire more people and get them trained. And we've done a lot more with our marketing programs, just updating our messaging, using more digital advertising and social media. If you go to the next slide, please. One of the critical pieces that we have at the port is our team, and it's a team that works, on our terminals, in our warehouses, and in our offices. And we deliver 5 days a week. We work shifts 24/7, 365 days a year. And the one thing I can say about the workforce here, which really surprised me, is it doesn't matter what the weather condition is. They're ready to work, whether it's deliver out cargo or work a ship. Everybody comes to work and takes care of our customers. And one of the other things that I've done since I came here is I've actually reorganized and restructured the organization. So now we have a team that's made up of a chief financial officer, a chief operating officer, a director of business development, a chief of staff, and somebody to handle external and government affairs for us, as well as a director of engineering. And with all these different roles, now we're able to actually plan better, work harder, and deliver what we think is important to not only the port, but the South Jersey. And I guess the last piece of this is probably around the end of March or early April, we'll be moving to a new headquarters in the ferry terminal building in downtown Camden, right up the road from John Hanson. I just felt it was time to get our office and professional staff off the terminal and into modern offices, where we can host customers. It's kind of hard when we have customers come on the terminal these days, because from where they park the car, they have to walk past forklifts and trucks. And I'd rather bring them around on tours in a van rather than having them try to navigate around that way. So, once we move in, I'd love to have the committee down and have host a meeting down there. We're actually building a training / boardroom. So, it should be a good thing for the port, and we're all looking forward to that. If you go to the next slide, please. Okay, I mentioned our capital plan, and the ports are economic generators. We've invested over $400 million to build the Port of Paulsboro. And that's also, spurred another $300 million in private sector investment with the ongoing effort of EEW and with their partner Ørsted. But they're also ports are expensive. There's a lot of wear and tear, and you need to maintain them. Over the next, say 5 to, I would say 8 years, we're going to invest at least $82 million in our terminals to bring our existing facilities to a state of good repair, while making strategic investments to support our existing customers. We also, want to be a good neighbor in the communities we operate in. So, we want to make everything as environmentally friendly as we can. And we also want to, position our facilities to play a key role in the offshore wind sector. And because everything in the offshore wind sector is so heavy, we feel that, we need to strengthen our berths and our facilities so they can handle those bigger loads. One of the key projects that we're working on right now is an upgrade of our rail facilities in the Balzano terminal in Camden. With the trucker shortage and ongoing demand to move cargo, rail has become a really big method of transportation that our customers have been turning to. And we've been working very hard to make that work. The other thing that we're in the process of doing is developing a solar plan for our terminals in Camden, starting with the Broadway terminal. We've identified about 1.1 million square feet of roof space that can accommodate solar. And based upon what we've been told, that'll generate about 10 million kilowatts of electricity annually. We're also in the process of upgrading our equipment, as I mentioned. We're in the process of purchasing about $6.6 million worth of electric forklifts and a yard tractor, and spending about another $1.5 million to install the charging stations for this equipment. And we hope that probably by the first quarter of 23, that equipment will be in place. And one of the targets I challenged our staff with doing was trying to make our Broadway terminal as electric as possible. So we already have an existing electric cargo crane there. We'll be bringing in the electric forklifts. And we also have a grant application now in to purchase an electric rail car mover, which we'll utilize to move the rail cars around. So if we can take the solar, this electric equipment that we're looking at, it's really going to set the stage for how other ports can operate in the future. Additionally, we're going to spend about $7.5 million improving 3 buildings at Pier 5, which need their refrigeration systems upgraded. This is, important because a lot of fruit still moves in break bulk, and this will help us attract more cargo to that facility. And we've earmarked at least another $5 million to go into Paulsboro to support improvements that need to be made down there, support offshore wind. We're just wrapping up phase 2 down there. EEW is in the middle of their phase 1, and they'll be rolling into a phase 2 as well. So we'll talk a little bit more about the offshore wind when we move down a little bit. If you go to the next slide, please. I mentioned the roughly $82 million, and this is kind of how it breaks down and how we're looking at it as far as, repairs and improvements, buildings and equipment, upgrading our fire protection systems. You have to realize that at least our Broadway terminal was the old U.S. shipyard, and those buildings are, some of them, 50 to 100 years old. So you need to keep those systems in a state of good repair. And of course, you need to continually upgrade and make repairs to your piers and your berths. And we're also looking at how we can deepen some of our berths so that we can leverage the 45-foot channel that'll be coming online on the Delaware River. And of course, the Biden administration has awarded us a grant to start redevelopment of the Port of Salem. And hopefully next month we'll be awarding a design contract to kick that effort off. And right now, the first phase of that project is estimated about $16 million. And again, we have more fire protection, in the years to come. So if you could move to the next slide, please. I know there have been a lot of events on offshore wind, but just to give everybody a sense of, how close New Jersey is to all the various wind farms planned off the coast. Just by looking at where New Jersey is and our ports are, I mean, you connect the dots, you can see how, we're able to leverage, being so close to the Atlantic and also having sufficient property to support everything that's going to be built offshore. You know, the Paulsboro was built with the intention of supplying the wind industry, and right now what we're seeing, if you ride down there, is the buildings coming up for EEW and their manufacturing facilities. It's actually the EEW facility is the first of its kind to build the monopiles. Everything else that EEW does is built over in Germany, and you know, this is a really good coup for New Jersey in attracting that. And when you look at our facilities, I mean, we're talking over 500 acres of land, and that's a lot to leverage. Next slide, please. Now, this just gives you an overall sense for the Port of Paulsboro and what's being constructed right now. The area outlined in yellow in the front of the slide is actually the phase 2 of the EEW construction project. And that's really where the steel slabs will come in, and then they're rolled. And then from there, they'll be brought to the main facility where they'll do the welding and the coating of the monopiles and store them for delivery offshore. You know, when this is all built, you know, you're looking at 500 to probably 600 jobs tied to this whole facility. And that's in addition to what's already happening out there with the cargo operations. So, you know, Paulsboro, it's taken a while, but it's really coming to fruition. And, you know, the thought that folks had when they were looking at how to reutilize this terminal, it's great to see it come to fruition. And I'm glad, you know, that they had the thought about this when they had the opportunity. If you go to the next slide, please. Yeah, as I mentioned, you know, we've received a grant to redevelop the Port of Salem, and you know, our first phase of that will be to build a 400-foot long berth, and our overall intention would be to increase that to roughly 1,000 feet over a couple more phases as we leverage more funding. And you know, we also plan to demolish a building and provide additional upland storage as we move through this first phase. We do have an existing tenant at Salem, US Concrete, and we'll also have accommodations for them as we build this project. We're also in the process of wrapping up a study that we've conducted jointly with New Jersey EDA, identifying how to best develop, I guess, the upland area of the port and adjacent areas, so that we can bring more jobs to the Port of Salem. And you know, hopefully that'll be completed in probably the next month or two, and that'll really be what we'll utilize to plan out the next phases, not only on our property but adjacent property. And we've been working with the county and the city and even the rail operators to try to bring this together. And if you go to the next slide, please. I mentioned earlier the money we want to spend, the $7.5 million for the refrigeration project. And this just gives you an overview of what Pier 5 looks like. You know, it's 3 buildings with about 200,000 square feet of refrigerated, climate-controlled storage capacity. So we're really hoping that this injection of money in here is going to bring this facility back to a more vibrant life. If you go to the next slide. in addition to what we're doing at Pier 5, we've realized that underground utilities at some point need to be changed. And as I said, with some of these utilities being over 100 years old, it's time. So in July, we're going to be coming out with a contractor to design what we figure is probably about a $15 million project to replace all the underground water lines in Broadway. So, the goal would be to have this designed and start construction sometime in, I would say, 2024 or 2025. Okay, next slide, please. The other thing that I mentioned is that, we have been using a lot of social media, and you can follow us on Facebook, LinkedIn. There are tweets that come out, and we are up to date on our tweets. So feel free to, sign up at southjerseyport.com if you'd like to follow us. We do try to promote what's happening and keep everybody up to date on our successes. And also our visitors, as you can see from the slides down below. And if I could have the last slide. And lastly, thank you everybody for having me today. And Marlene, thanks for inviting me. It's always a pleasure to be with the committee and to spend a little time. I think we left some time for questions. So if anybody has any, be glad to answer them.
Andy, it's Anthony LaRosa from Colliers. How you doing today?
Good. How are you, Anthony?
Good, good. So those water main upgrades that you mentioned there, that's in Camden at the Broadway terminal exclusively, the $15 million project.
Yes, it is.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Questions, anyone, comments? Well, I, for one, am really happy to know that you are moving the facility into a larger, more beautiful building. The times that we've been at the port, as you said, we navigated our way, and but you were always a very wonderful host to us. But I'm really glad to know that there will be another facility, particularly in what looks like prime property. I know you'll be John's neighbor, so maybe we can do 2 for 1 on that particular day.
Do a walking tour and maybe include the aquarium next door.
Yeah. Yeah. And what's going on at the Salem Port is particularly interesting. Once in a while, I take a ride just to see what's happening there, and haven't been there for a while, but it always looked like a very depressed area, but one with a lot of potential.
That was, one of my first questions, like, what do we do with Salem?
Yeah.
And nobody could ever really give me a real good answer. And that's when the team came together. I was like, we need to figure this out because it has a lot of potential. And, at the time, it was funny because we had a lot of people knocking at our door asking us about Salem. So I think the study that we're doing is going to be real interesting because we really feel that Salem can really be number one, a supply depot for the offshore wind. A lot of people are looking for places for their service vessels. And we also think that for products that need to be railed in, like ballast or other things, support the installations offshore, Salem's an ideal place to load barges and move that product out. So,
Marlene, I have a question.
yes,
George Loebman from the UTCA. Andy, I'm wondering if sometime in the and maybe around the early June timeframe, we could get a tour with some of our general contractors. We have almost every contractor in the state, from the little mom and pop shops to the great big huge George Harms and large firms. Wondering if we could get a tour of the facilities and get some ideas to how maybe some of our members could assist with your plans and figuring out what needs to be done.
well, just shoot me an email, George. And,
Okay.
schedule something.
Anything else? Comments, questions?
Out there. In terms of Salem, you mentioned a little bit about the workforce development program that you have underway. Could you elaborate on that, Andy? I think that's a key tie-in for Salem. I should say that, you know, my in-laws are from Salem, big family history down there. So I am a well-known visitor to Mamma Mia's and Hoodoc's ice cream.
I think in the slide, I was mentioning the work that the South Jersey development team was doing, helping with the Windport and workforce development.
We definitely need that in that area.
Yeah.
Yeah, and on that subject, Patty, coincidentally, and this was on the agenda to make mention of, the Commissioner of Higher Education will be visiting with us at the end of March. And we have asked him to talk a little bit about workforce development generally. And then the Education Committee, which puts that program together, has some plans to do a very specific program on workforce development, which would include the Windport project. And of course, you know, we're pretty deep into that project. So stand by.
You know, there's a very strong connection. We're all very excited about the jobs and the letting of the projects, but that other side of transportation is where we can get all these folks to work, and that's really important. So gotta be mindful of that too.
Co-chairs, you have anything for the good of the order?
No, Marlene, I appreciate Andy's time. I really appreciate the information you shared. I thought it was very good, very thorough, and it's good to see the port in South Jersey thriving with bigger and better opportunities to come. So, thank you.
Oh, you're welcome.
Yeah, thanks so much, Andy, for taking time and to spend with us. We have a large audience today. These Zoom calls, as much as we're tired of them, they actually work really well for committee meetings. So I think the Transportation Committee has in mind to do one with John Hanson. I hope John knows that. He does now. And then, of course, the in-person event with the Commissioner of DOT, which is usually scheduled in July. And then we'll round out the year with, I think, some information from the Turnpike Parkway authorities. Correct me, co-chairs, if I misspoke on that.
No, that's correct. That's our plan.
So for those of you who are on the committee, we thank you. And if you have anything that you would like to let us know about, particularly the co-chairs, send us an email and we'll include your thoughts. And to Andy, thank you again. And to all, have a good day. And we will see you again.
All right, take care.
Thanks, Marlene. Thanks, Marlene.
Thank you, Andy.
Thanks, Andy.
Thanks, Andy.
Yeah.
Thank you, and bye-bye.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Everybody.